Welcome to Subversion.
Mxusi has joined the Pantheon, Techia 0 be gifted at tier 1 sub to Mxusi. This is their first gift sub in the channel.
Maybe, Master Pate, maybe. Well, thank you very much for the gift sub, Techie Rob, or giving the gift sub to Mzizzy. All sorts of wonderous people here. Thank you very much for coming in. I am HerrBawl. I play a cat on TV, sometimes a witchy cat. Sometimes a witchy cat on fire, or in the moonlight. All sorts of things. I have a lot of, well, I can't say a lot. I have some prop sets, so I can change my outfits a little bit. And then I have characters that can go on top of them. Oh, there's one. We're currently playing Callahan's Crosstime Saloon. This gentleman here is a guy named Dr. Duplicitus. He's a bit of a prick. We're in the future where he's invented a drug. Excuse me. He's invented a drug that's causing everybody to be uncontrollably telepathic. Because he was tired of yes men. So he wanted to instead have people be not telling him what he wanted to hear because he would tell him what he wanted to hear. Yeah, it's pretty annoying too so far. So we got him out of a I can't remember what, like a bio chamber where he was trying to have good ideas. So I generally play games from my childhood, games that I may have played before. In this case, I haven't played this game previously. I did read the book series that this was based off of. Again, Spider Robinson wrote a series of short stories that were published in magazines and then were compiled into books, and then he wrote books on it later in the Callahan series. It's very punny. And I like puns. Speaking of, let's see. What do clouds wear? Thunderwear. So right now, we're trying to get a cure for our friend.
Get out.
Sounds like I need to mute that over there so we don't hear that stuff echoing twice. Hey, Pureblind Gamer, welcome in. And it looks like my thing is working after the restart of Touch Portal and, of course, OBS crashing.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Fine. Let's get started. Stand right here. John, would you administer the pre-wash?
Suddenly you feel a prick behind you. And he's got a hypodermic.
Welcome to Subversion.
Purblind Gamma has joined the Pantheon, Techia 0 be gifted at tier 1 sub to Purblind Gamma. They have given 2 gift subs in the channel.
Hey, Techie Rob, thank you very much for gifting a sub to Pureblind Gamer. He jabs it into your arm and the world spins, first around the x-axis, then around the y-axis, and just as it's getting to the z-axis, everything goes black. When you come to, the first thing you notice is the coldness. The room is cold, your back is against something cold, and suddenly you realize you're naked and lying on a metal table. Funny how danger is supposed to be romantic. Though from the shrinking sensation you have down below, you're not finding this the least bit erotic.
I'm glad to see you're awake.
Oops.
It's always better when they start off aware of what's happening. You know, in my line of work, I meet a lot of very deluded, very sick people. But nobody with quite your brand of lunacy.
Am I a lunatic?
Yes. You believe that we're in the future.
Not exactly. You're the one. This is your present. I'm visiting. Just to help Alfie.
Yes, that's what you said. But I don't remember Alfie thinking he's from the past.
He comes back.
Right, in a time machine, the same one that got you here. Is that right?
Yes. Where's my stuff?
I took the liberty of lightening your load. You had some things that did not belong to you. Rubber bands are quite valuable these days. We shouldn't have had one out in the open. The rest of your belongings are right here. If you survive, they'll be returned to you.
And I get the antidote, right?
Yes. Now that I think of it, I do remember him saying something about the past, and I remember being somewhat in doubt as to his state of sanity. But he had cash, so I decided, why be judgmental?
If you can read my mind, you know I'm not making it up.
If you are delusional, then what I see through your eyes would be a delusion as well. But down to business. Now, I'm going to reach down and scour those billions of memories and nightmares of yours in search of the blackest, vilest little nuggets of fear I can find.
I apologize for everybody
So
who's
deeply
coming in the
that you
middle
don't
of
even
torture,
talk to yourself about them.
but I think this is all mostly going to be
As
psychological
being
torture, and I
inside
don't
of
think
your
it's going to
mind
show
and
us
being
anything.
surrounded by the
So far, the game
traumas
hasn't
and
really been
bruises
into
and
that kind of
cuts.
thing.
Most of them look healed over.
We haven't even
But when I take my
seen any
fingernails and
actual
rake them over the
damage to
scabs
anybody.
to find the ones that really haven't healed at all, the cysts hidden behind them.
He certainly got
That's
away with
what
words,
I'm
though, doesn't
looking
he?
for. I have to pop them, drain the bile from them.
Stop describing it and let's get it over with.
Oh, but the foreplay can be so much fun. But then again, quickies are nice too sometimes.
Okay. You suddenly feel uneven pressure on your brain, as if you were trying to sink his fingers into it. Alright. Can I not just smack him with the tire iron? Doesn't work, but at least I tried. The feeling of the hand inside your head is uncannily frightening. Instinctively, you resist, trying to harden your concentration, envisioning your mind as a taut muscle. Oh, I know. Here. Oh, I still haven't fixed that.
This? What about it?
The one I don't like to talk to myself about. The one I can't forgive myself for. The one that won't go away.
Ah. I knew you had something like that. I'll see what I can pull out about it.
Well, what if I just told you?
We can certainly try that. But if this is a delaying tactic, I'm going to be disappointed.
No, this is the real stuff.
Then by all means, tell me about it.
I had a family. This was a long time ago. This was 1970. The doctor that saved my life also saved my soul. He took me to a bar, and I guess I learned to want to live again. I'm not sure how.
That was wonderful. And just look at that bottle. Jake Stonebender, I am delighted with you. You are a mess. And I am going to keep my end of the bargain. Perhaps in a few years I'll pay you another visit. I'm sure you'll have a lot more for me by then.
Thanks, game. Dr. Duplicitous, a cruel but fair man, unstraps you and removes the extractor from your chest. He hands you a small vial of Voyatrazine neutralizer. Almost giddy with glee, he removes the bottle of P3 drain from your psyche and put it in the laboratory freezer. You collect your belongings, and the doctor follows you down to the time sled in the alley outside. You set the controls to return to Callahan's, put in the next code number, throw the lever, and take another gut-twisting ride that twirls the world around you like a pinwheel. The next thing you know, you're back on the roof. The doctor stays in the sled, but you climb out.
Have you any idea what sort of a repository of misery and despair the history of mankind holds for me? How much P3 I can refine from hundreds of generations of frightened, lonely people? You, more than most, should appreciate its power. Look at what it's done for your life.
Dragongem Chuck
Look at
X
how you
500 Bitties,
survived.
I
Niedsamkeit
think I
efter Wert.
survived in spite of my pain.
Then maybe you should think about it a little longer. In the meantime, I'm going to pay a visit to the Spanish Inquisition. The church should never have left the torture business.
That's the data as he saw you do. You pull the recipe halfway out of your pocket,
What's
then you
that?
stop and think better of it. He snatches it out of your pocket and reads it.
What's this? You wanted to give me your recipe?
No, I...
Throws the recipe back at you and pulls the handle on the time slot.
I prefer to eat out. So long, Stonebender. Bye-bye.
Well, so knowing what I know,
Already. You wait too long, Alfie's gonna wake up again.
got what I was looking for.
pour the little vial down Alfie's throat. A few moments later, he sputters and wakes. You gonna go on, or do I have to quit? Not too happy with you right now, game. Alright. So, based on the way everything else in this game and in the series goes, I'm pretty sure we're going to find out that Dr. Duplicitous did not actually get to go anywhere or do anything because the time sled broke or something. Because, generally speaking, the novels and stuff are a optimistic view, a positive view. Completely misremembering, but they seem to get everything sorted out, at least in the stories that I remember. Also, what did the 0 say to the 8? That belt looks good on you. Alright, so we poured the neutralizer down Alfie's
That
throat.
tastes terrible. What was that anyway?
Get
Notice
out.
anything different?
The voices. You did it.
He throws his arms around you.
A thank you will suffice.
How can I ever repay you?
You already paid.
I did?
I had to bargain a little with your friend Dr. Duplicitous. You got the cure. You got the time sled.
He what? But how could you do that?
I didn't think you had a choice.
That's not the point. A man like him with a time sled? I'm a little irresponsible. He'll destroy the world.
I wouldn't worry too much. He didn't like your recipe.
You hand him his beanie and the recipe.
He went to check out the Spanish Inquisition.
Fyodor begins to say that he wouldn't have expected the Spanish Inquisition, but so do about 6 other people, and they all trail off before the words are out of their mouths.
Once he gets out of the sled, he can't start it up again.
Unless he wants to try the 10 billion combinations it'd take to find the right one.
Gonna tell us what happened, Jake?
You wait for a moment before responding to Fast Eddie's request.
I don't think so. I'm gonna have to think about it myself for a while.
Fast Eddie pulls out his blackjack and offers it to you, but you decline. You're not into the pain thing right now. Hello, Bat? Sasha's learned how to fly again, and Fyodor couldn't be happier about it, although heaven forfend he should show it. Hardly Worgen, let's see. You know why Microsoft skipped from Windows 8 to Windows 10? Because 789. Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum. I like it. No, that was the joke that they made, was that like everybody else in the room mentioned the Spanish Inquisition and then was going to say they didn't expect it, and they all realized that everybody else was thinking it at the same time. Okay, so that was Alfie's story. This guy? Try to talk to this man. He casts his eyes downward as if to indicate that he'd rather not talk. You have no idea what his story is, but you may learn it eventually. Most people who come to Callahan's open up after a while. I haven't. I was trying to work on getting sound stuff set up. I have not gotten there yet.
Yes, Jake.
Hey, I told you some stuff would happen tonight.
You were right. This is most amusing. And I'm really enjoying learning your language, you know?
You're doing very well.
That is exactly correct. I am doing very well.
Kind of want to punch him in the crotch. I don't know exactly why, but I kind of want to. Oh, it's Dragon Gem saying, "Get out." So now I need to talk to Ralph. Joe and Ralph, huh? Problem is, I don't know who Joe is. So let's talk to Mike a little bit.
What's up?
See if he tells us who else.
Set me up.
Bushmills or a Tullamore Dew?
Oh, never mind. I'm cleaned out.
I think you're good for it.
No, I'm not drinking on a tab tonight. Let me earn my drinks the old-fashioned
Hey, Amy Cat.
winning them from a bunch
Welcome
of
in.
suckers.
Suits me. You can be our designated driver if Piotr doesn't show up, since you'll be spending the evening sober.
We'll see.
Mike, what the bloody hell? Piotr is right there, man. Alright. Oh, there's Joe. Joe scribbles a quick "Hiya, Jake" on his pad and flashes it at you. You often feel bad for having to have Joe write so much. He has a great many speaking friends, but almost none of them know Amslang.
Hartleywagen 71 has joined the Pantheon. Dragonem gifted 6 months of tier 1 to Hartleywagen 71. They've gifted 80 months in the channel.
Hey Dragon, thank you very much for giving a gift sub to Hardly Working. Now, Hardly Working, you get to use all my cool emotes. I don't know if they're cool. I like them. Almost none of them know Amslan, which I have no idea. Oh, or American Sign Language? Okay. I've never heard of American Sign Language called Amslan. While you do know the alphabet and a few dozen signs, you don't know nearly enough to follow Joe while he's conversing with other signers, and you can tell he dislikes having to sign as slowly as you need him to. Sometimes when you see him, the two of you practice, but he's clearly far too anxious to take the time right now.
Let me get you a drink.
Joe holds up one hand and puts the other on his stomach. You recognize this as the worldwide idiom for "I'm sloshing already."
Forgot what I was going to say next. Never mind.
Joe nods. Oops. I thought that was my way of saying, hey, go on. I guess I should probably actually have been reading that. At other times, he skips the words and just uses punctuation.
Calm down, bud. What's the problem?
Ralph's been kidnapped. Is he just going to continuously do that until I click?
Are you serious?
Joe nods his head energetically. They took him to the Catskills. You mean they forced him to go on vacation? Let's see. So, Dragon Gem was concerned that the timing of this is behind quite a bit. So I'm going to click on this after a countdown from 3, 2, 1.
You mean they forced
click.
him to go on vacation?
He grimaces at you and rolls his eyes. Dead serious. Government, probably. Follow them to S edge of Catskill Mountains, south edge.
Well, you were right about the trained cockroaches and the CIA, so I have to believe you now.
Jake, how about it? Guess I'm just a guy who can't say no.
Guess I'm just a guy who can't say no.
Be sure.
What the hell? I've been running around the world getting people angry at me. Really, if I should be fighting with anybody, it's the government.
Great. Let's go.
I better let people know where we're going in case we don't come back. Meet me outside.
Joe looks panic-stricken at your delay, but hangs back to wait for you to leave. Hey, dude, just calm down.
Jake, hadn't you and Joe better get going?
I was just trying to tell you.
All right,
but apparently you heard.
Take your time. I'm sure they
all
don't
right,
do
all right,
all
all right. Now, lady. Maybe Doc.
You ever been to one of these government research facilities?
I've been to Mount Weather. Ever hear of it?
No.
It was built into the side of a mountain in rural Virginia in the 50s and was supposed to be a bomb-proof hiding place for an entire government. Huge place, big secret. Then, in the 70s, a small passenger plane went down right nearby. Drew a lot of reporters to the area, and they suddenly found this strange, restricted area in the middle of the countryside. Turns out the crash had knocked out power in the installation for over 2 hours. The secret was out, of course, and everybody realized there wasn't much equity in a bomb shelter that couldn't stand up to a plane crash, let alone a nuclear bomb.
So I just have to hope that the facility where they're holding Ralph is as well constructed as Mount Weather was?
Yep. So I wouldn't worry. Should be a piece of cake.
Alright, so I really don't know if I'm supposed to actually be doing something or if that was just the game's way to make it so that I didn't automatically do it. Joe walks ahead of you as the two of you step out into the parking lot. Question mark?
Give me the bird's eye lowdown on this caper again.
Bird's eye lowdown?
Let me recapitulate the situation.
Earlier this evening, Ralph was snatched from a pet shop by 4 supposed FBI agents. He was taken to a fortified installation in a mountain about 2 hours north of here. Going to get him? We'll need help. Just one.
Mickey might be a better choice. If he gets close to Ralph, he can protect him.
Wouldn't they like to get their hands on Mickey as well?
And I can blend in better than he can. Forgot what I was going to say next. Never mind.
Go nuts. Alright, that tells me that we're probably taking my truck then. You jump into your truck, lean over, and unlock the passenger side. Joe climbs in after you and navigates, pointing most of the time, but jotting things down when necessary. You take the Northern State Parkway west, the Throg's Neck Bridge over to the mainland, and the 687 north to the Catskill Mountains. Oh, look, it's a little pause. About 2 hours after leaving Callahan's, Joe directs you to pull over to the side of the road, by the side of the road. Joe's fashionable wear one knapsack? I don't know if that's how that's supposed to be pronounced. You hustle back to the truck and pick up the knapsack. Why is the truck idling? Truck sits where you parked it, just off the road, 50 feet from here. Okay, so maybe it's not the truck, maybe it's a generator. Fence appears to be the standard chain link, but it says it's electrified. Okay. A guard in the guardhouse. Light. Bushes. Scaffold. Don't leave the tire iron anywhere until you're sure you're done with it. There's a guard in the guardhouse. From your position in the bushes, you don't think he's liable to see you or Joe. Small guardhouse set is set several hundred feet away from the entrance to the mountain fortress. Alright, so let's save. Climb the fence. You reach out to touch the fence, your fingers get closer and closer, but you can't quite bring yourself to actually touch it. What with the high voltage setting and maybe being burnt to a crisp and all. Shh. The fence is only loosely linked together. Okay. What's that supposed to mean? Let's open the knapsack. You open the knapsack, rummage through its contents. Hoo boy, all kinds of neat stuff. Grappling hook, goggles, suction cup. What the heck does Joe do? Pocket knife. You bring the wire cutters close to the fence and stop. Uncertain, you draw back and toss the wire cutter at the fence. It sparks wildly for a moment and falls to the ground. You pick it up. It's hot in a couple of spots and heave a sigh of relief. Right, so I definitely have to get the electricity to stop first. You should try to get the guard out of the guardhouse if you want to go inside. Pull it over so the guard would look away. Right? Big O'Brano. They're not Big O'Brano. Long strand of barbed wire are strung along the top of the fence in order to thwart those who would attempt to climb over it. On closer examination, you see that this is no ordinary barbed wire. It's the even more vicious titanium, ceramic, diamond razor wire. The hardest and sharpest substance known to man. But wait, it's worse than that. It's ex-girlfriend wire, the sharpest substance known to men. Again, written in the 90s. What? I can try to put the road on the trees? Okay. Small light on top of the guardhouse, unlit right now, which you take to mean that they're not aware of any problems around the perimeter. You can beat around the bush. You start to beat around the bush, but then decide you can take care of that later. Right now, you've got some important procrastinating to do. Start to move the bushes to allow easier access to the fence, but then you realize you might attract unwanted attention from the guardhouse off to the right. What about these bushes? Okay. Night vision goggles? Mm-hmm. Dirt road is completely unlit, making it even seem eerily dark. Let me try that again. The dirt road is completely unlit, making it seem eerily dark sight for a kid from the island burbs where almost every street is brightly lit at night. I think there's a word missing. What do you call two monkeys that share an Amazon account? Primates. What? Hey, Moni, welcome in. And enjoy the lurk. So...
Get out.
I don't see a way to muck up the thing, so I need to figure out a way to distract the guard. I don't see like a rocks that I could pick up to throw. The light's too strong here, you'll screw up your rods and cones. It's Joe's pocket knife, 50% Swiss, 50% German. It has a blade, a corkscrew, a Phillips screwdriver, a slotted screwdriver, and a butane nose hair remover. No, thank you. Grappling hook consists of a 4-pronged hook with a long nylon rope attached. He was a man of silent intensity. His mission was clear and stakes were always high, or it wasn't worth his time. When the expedition finally caught up with him, he had nothing left but his duck urban knapsack with parachute nylon straps from Wear One exclusively for the L.J. Bienerman catalog, $275. Four strong, quick-release suction cups with straps must be part of some sort of emergency snakebite kit.
What have you observed about this place?
Didn't spend much time
He's
here.
not even here anymore.
Joe's face slackens. He taps his pencil against
If
the
so,
pad
there's
nervously.
nothing to be done about it. Let's assume he's still in there.
After a few moments, Joe slowly nods his assent.
Now's a good time to pull out that big old plan you were working on for this.
Maybe I can distract the guard. You can check out the guardhouse. See if the fence is on. I know the fence is on. See if there's a way to turn the security off without it being
Okay,
obvious.
how are you going to distract the guard?
Joe pulls a camera out of his pocket and winks at you. Then he starts off towards the guardhouse, stops
Did you
and comes
forget
back to your
something?
position. Joe reaches into his pocket a second, pulls out his keys. On a key ring is a small, slender silver whistle. He twists it off his keychain and presses it into your hand.
What is this?
Ralph gave it to me, his whistle, just
Shouldn't
in
you
case.
keep it?
But Joe has already gotten back to his feet and walks to the guardhouse. He walks near the guardhouse and begins to snap flash pictures. The guard immediately walks out of the guardhouse and approaches Joe, who backs away, taking the guard further and further from the booth. Finally, he stops backing away. He probably has the guard a sufficient distance from the guardhouse for you to sneak in and out if you're cautious. Where were you guys going to head off to, Bree? Okay, let's go to the guardhouse. Relic of a control panel was probably considered high-tech just a few decades ago when four-function calculators were hundreds of dollars and computers took up city blocks. The lights and switch configuration appears pretty straightforward. You flash on a method of rearranging the lights and switches so as to make everything appear on when it's actually off. The whole method evaporates from your mind and you're left wondering exactly what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. Oh, a stake. Nice. So, something's preventing the top of the panel from lifting off. Do I want to steal a pencil? Monitor. Desk. Look at the wires. Okay. Pulling on these wires would probably cut power to the panel. The guard would undoubtedly notice this upon his return and raise an alarm. If you want to disable the panel, it would be best if you could do so without causing any obvious changes to what the guard normally expects to see. Wow. Yeah. Steaks is good. It reminds me I should get more steaks from the grocery store. I could sous vide them. You ever sous vide anything? It's SOUSVIDE. Basically a water bath. You vacuum seal the steaks and then you put them in the water oven and set it at a temperature. So I'll take a steak and I'll put it in a water bath overnight with the temperature set at 140 degrees. So it gets it to 140 degrees the entire way through the steak, and I just let it sit at that until I'm ready to cook it. Then I take it out and I quick sear them, either in a pan or on a grill or whatever, maybe with some butter or some other stuff. Usually I just do salt and pepper because we just want to taste the meat. Yeah, so you do a quick sear to get a nice good sear on the outside, but the inside it's basically 100% cooked through, but it's not tough as a brick like you get, sometimes when you cook a steak well done, you'll get it way too dark or, way too tough. This will take just about any cut of meat and turn it into just almost a fall apart with a fork experience. It's pretty great. But since the inside is only ever getting to 140 degrees, it doesn't look like it would be rare or medium rare anymore, but it tastes and feels like it. Yeah. The other great thing about it is that because you can leave it sitting in the water bath or water oven for however long, if, say, you were going to have people come over or you were waiting for, B to get back from somewhere or whatever was going on and you had to push off cooking it a little bit, you're not, hey, I've got this steak that I've got to just make right now. You can just wait and it's just a real quick searing, maybe 15 minutes at the most from pulling them out of the sous vide and being done and ready to eat them. I'm pretty sure I need to get these off. Alright, well, there we go. I'm gonna have to, did I have to do it to all of them or just the one? Okay. But I hope I'm not gonna have to. Oh, I see what I've done. these back in. Now I don't know what I've done. Oh, so I had to tell it to unscrew stuff, but it screwed them in by itself. Alright. You switch the electric fence off. Okay, we definitely want the electric fence off. Probably want the EF interrupt alarm off. Okay, no. What does this switch do? Okay. We'll unlock the main door. Turn off the backup systems. Right, but I thought I flipped this around. You don't have enough folk singers to change the light bulb, plus you're going to have to leave the lights looking as if they work normally. Lock the main door. But why is... Alright, so I don't understand how I was supposed to have made that... look normal. Did I miss a piece? So did I just... Hold on. There's got to be something else I need to do in here. Turn on the EF interrupter alarm. No. So... I need to figure out a way to make it so that these lights are up here instead. Alright. I see. Okay. Alright, there we go. Okay. I don't think I need to do anything else in here. Did the ectoplasm work? Did I miss it? Dear Mount Weather personnel, we at the Department of Defense would like to thank you for your patience during the completion of renovations to the Mount Weather. We have heard your complaints and succeeded in arranging the appropriate funding, thanks in no small part to Senator Bobbin Porkbelly. Any contributions to the Senator's campaign fund will be matched by the Department of Defense, so please return your envelopes by the end of the month and give generously. So far, we've completed work on the air conditioning, which now reaches all of the rooms in the facility. We have also emptied the refrigerator, our thanks to the boys in hazmat, and brought in new vending machines that give change. Still to be finished is the resurfacing of the main road. Please don't forget to keep the door closed and locked at all times during the resurfacing to prevent injuries. Following the completion of the resurfacing, we will be increasing the number of female lavatory facilities in order to comply with new regulations. We will then be looking at carpet swatches for the atrium. In light of these improvements, we request that all overstuffing of the suggestion box be halted. After due consideration, it has been determined that a rumpus room would be inappropriate, as rumpuses, ructions, and ruckuses are contrary to Regulation 4.10.1617. In addition, we do not see a pressing need for either a wind tunnel or an orgy room, even if we were to save money by having them occupy the same space. In the future, please make all suggestions with the self-control and upstanding behavior that the world has come to expect from the United States Armed Forces. Incidentally, we still have the lowest number of pending rape cases of all the branches of the military. Way to go, Army. Yours, Sergeant Wallace, Sheetrock, Washington, D.C. Big oof. That's been an ongoing issue and is still an ongoing issue. Quality thermos sits on the counter. See, I don't know that I need to drug the guy. I think I just need to do what I did. I think I can leave if... There we go. You start to duck out of the guardhouse when you realize that this configuration of the board will not withstand scrutiny by the guard. If the guard toggles a switch, the wrong lights will change. Well, then... Okay. Right? So I need to rotate these back. It's the electrified fence. Okay. What's going on here? Alright, so I switched the fence off. Switch the fence on, so... Need to switch the green strip with the red strip. Off. Off. Okay. Now I should. Knowing that leaving the panel in this configuration would be a dead giveaway, you again restore it to its original state. What? What do you mean? What did I not like about that? Oh, is it this? I see. Okay. So I need to rotate all of these. Now, let's see if it likes that. Peeking out from the kneeling position into the guardhouse, you see that Joe and the guard are still playing keep away with the camera. You take the opportunity to dodge back out and into the bushes. Next thing you know, you hear the guard utter a cry of victory. From your concealed position, you see the guard holding the camera aloft and away from Joe's grabbing hands. The guard pops open the camera and pulls out the film, turning his body constantly to fend off Joe. Joe sags in pretense of defeat as the guard hands him back the camera. Back still hanging open. As Joe trudges off down the road, the guard goes back into the guardhouse and watches Joe recede into the darkness. Now, for you young folks out there was a time when a camera, in order to function, had to have film inside of it. And taking the film out meant that you no longer had those images. There was no cloud upload, there was no instant cameras, nothing like that. I mean, there was instant cameras in 97. Heck, there were digital cameras in 97, but what they're talking about is old films. Joe walks past you without acknowledging you, goes past the truck, and walks even further down the road to make sure the guard can't see him anymore. 5 minutes later, he sneaks back to you. What a jerk. Does he think a photographer only carries one roll of film? So now the electricity should be off. You bring the wire cutters close to the fence, and just to make sure, you toss the wire cutters at the chain link. No sparks are produced. You pick up the wire cutters and snip around in a semicircle, eventually making a good-sized opening. Reminding Joe that he should have the truck waiting for you when you return, you gingerly pick your way through the circles of sharply snipped chain link. Keeping low to the ground, you dodge from tree to bush to tree, trying to get a little closer to the mountain, and each time without the guard spotting you. The dark of night helps provide cover, and eventually you come within just a few feet of the mountain. Breathless from the exertion of running in a low crouch, you come to rest in a small thicket of scrub near the side of the front entrance. A massive door set into the mountain looms on your left. To your right is the scaffold. There is a narrow corridor between them. If you were to wander out into that corridor, you'd quickly be spotted by the guard. What's this? Oh, the whistle he gave me. Okay, so if I wander out there, there's a problem. The guard will see me. Manually operated winch is mounted to the side of the scaffold. Attached to it are two thick metal cables, each running up one side. These are used to raise and lower equipment from the ground to the various levels of the scaffolding. Okay. Got a clamp. Even if the clamps weren't so heavy and bulky, they're attached to the cables. You won't be able to take them anywhere. Can I clamp them to me? There we go. We'll attach the... Quickly snatch the tarp off the scaffold, bundling it up in your arms and praying it wasn't noticeable. Fasten clamps to the grommets at either end of the tarp. A lot of resistance from the winch as you raise the tarp. It unfolds as you draw it upwards, forming a dirty gray curtain in front of the dirty gray door. You stop when the clamps reach the top of the scaffold. Doorway leads back outside. It would be the least obtrusive way out of here, except that it required the key card, which you don't have. Okay. Climb this rock. You free one hand and grab some of the jutting rock, testing them to see if you could haul yourself up onto them, but your knowledge of rock climbing is nil, and there's no rappelling equipment in Joe's knapsack. After a few all-out attempts to pull yourself onto the rock face, you resign yourself to the fact that you just don't have the training or sheer muscle for this particular sport. You could throw the grapple hook straight up and possibly lodge it on a rock, but you'd be exposed to view as soon as you climbed above the shrubs. Except I've got a wall there. You putz. Wait, what is this? The enormous expanse of steel is flaking and pitted, but still rock solid and very cold. You start to squeeze between the two halves of the door, but you give up in despair after you can't seem to get more than a few atoms wedged in there. You had opted for that piranha-style bridge work your dentist once offered you. You might actually be able to chew through the door, but no, you cheaped out, and now look at the mess you're in. It pays to buy the best. You frantically scrabble at the heavy metal base covering the door. Your fingernails again click against it futilely like a dog on a hot skillet. A dog on a hot skillet? What the? We're talking about a hot dog, naturally. Okay, alright. Damn, and you sold your last case of TNT to that little Simpson kid down the block. Yes, Maggie Simpson. You'd have to be run over by a steamroller before you could slip under the door, and there simply isn't enough time for that. Even if the hinges were on the outside, removing them would require a screwdriver the size of Goat's Pimple, Louisiana. You push, but it's like pushing against the mountain itself. Offhand, you can't remember whether house-sized doors like this one open inward or outward. Don't want to knock on. No doorknob, okay. This is where I came from. Tarp is blocking the back of the scaffold, so you're forced to climb in front of it. Unfortunately, this leaves you completely exposed to the guard's view from the guardhouse. Searchlight swings your way, you quickly jump down and scurry into the bushes. Hey, Grizzly, welcome in. There's something else I'm supposed to be doing here. Moving back outside. You walk to the little door, trying to appear purposeful, matching the slightly brisk pace at which everyone else is moving. You arrive without incident and try the door. It's sealed as tightly as if it were part of the wall itself. Start to climb up the scaffolding. As you do, you see a light from the guardhouse swinging toward you. Taking only a moment to judge your distance from the ground, you jump from the scaffold and dive into the brush. A split second later, the light sweeps across the scaffold and pauses momentarily at the point where you stop climbing. Light swings back in the opposite direction. You weren't seen this time, but there's no way you'll be able to make it to the top of that scaffolding without being spotted. Alright, well, I thought that the tarp and blocking the view was the way to go. Bring this back. Why do fathers take an extra pair of socks when they go golfing? Why, in case they get a hole in one. You walk behind the tarp and press your body to the huge metal door. The suction cups take hold and you perform a human spider routine up the doorway. And the more graceless human spider there's never yet been. Okay. On the top of the door is a grill, possibly for air conditioning, possibly for releasing radioactive gas or other contaminants, possibly for... Well, the possibilities are just too exciting to think about. You tug at the grating, but as you can only free one hand to do it, and you don't want to pop your suction cups off the door. Your tugging is wussy and ineffectual. The vent louvers are all pointed downward and are set very close together. You could probably attach the grappling hook by slamming it into the thin metal louvers. But there's an easier way. Is it the tire iron? With the tire iron in hand, you're able to easily pry the vent loose and swing it over to the side. Hey, Havoc, welcome in. SteamWorld Dig. I don't know if I've played SteamWorld Dig. I played one. I think I played SteamWorld Heist, but I hear that SteamWorld games are pretty good. When this is all over, you'll have some calls to make. There are a lot of TV news magazines who'd probably love to show everyone how easy it is to break into this place. With the vent now open, you set about struggling into it. First, you remove a suction cup from the door, placing that hand inside the vent and affix the cup to the smooth metal surface inside. Then it's a simple matter to do the same with the other hand, which gives you enough leverage to pull yourself into the cramped space. Not crumped space. Crumped space would be like, my brain ain't working for that. You remove the suction cups from your arms and legs. As you do, you notice a light breeze being sucked in from the outside. Good, you think. This is a simple ventilation shaft. Then you smile, not a whole lot though, at the thought of getting stuck somewhere in the shaft and your dead body rotting in the vent for months while the feds go crazy trying to find the source of the stench. Wouldn't that be a joke on them? Faint light that enters behind you is sufficient to get you past a turn to the left and a twist to the right. After that, you find yourself in total darkness. Put a hand in front of your face to see if you're wearing a headless box, but you're not. Since Dragon Gem didn't feel like doing it.
Get out.
Now I should be able to wear the goggles. You pull the goggles onto your head and flip the small power switch on the side. After a moment, the world pops into view in various shades of gray, green and gray. It's like being inside a gigantic Nintendo Game Boy. Raising the goggles so that you don't blind yourself, you look down into the vent. The lights and... Okay. Do I need to map this junk out? In the goggles so that you don't blind yourself, you look down into the vent. It's just another fake alien autopsy in progress. One agent is walking around with a camcorder and the other are fighting over who gets to be the doctor and who gets to be the alien. Raising the goggles, yada yada yada. Several office workers are working down here. One is at a large filing cabinet prominently marked Republicans and is removing folders and placing them in cartons. Another is marking the cartons to White House. A third worker carries the cartons out of the room, and they're wearing dark glasses so they can claim not to have seen. Not sure I get that joke. Hi, fam. I'm going to have to muck around with the fans, turning them on and off. Well, I hope not. Knowing this game and the amount of fans that there are in here, is probably what's going to end up happening. Crowd of agents with notebooks is clustered around a tall wheel. Another agent repeatedly spins the wheel, calling out the results with each spin. Mechanical failure, administrative error, matter of national security, and several dozen other phrases. Every time civil rights comes up, it's met with gales of laughter and a free spin. Okay. Okay. I just go around in a big circle. Some federal agents are engaged in quiet conversations with a profusely sweating New York senator. At first, the senator whoops with glee. A moment later, his demeanor changes to one of devastation when one of the agents says, "We said life without parole, not life without parole." Okay. Why would there be weird dead ends in ductwork? room full of federal agents, 20 of them packed into a 10 by 10 room surrounding a monitor. They're intently watching the news wires, and the moment a story appears involving scandal, serial murder, or catastrophe, they all set to work generating as many sick jokes as they can and putting them out on the internet. It's an important job, and you're glad somebody's doing it, but you'd always heard it was done by a room full of dead lawyers. You heading off, Hibby Cat? Below is like a war room. I have a very good one, Hibby Cat. And thank you very much for stopping by. Room below is like a war zone with oversized electronic maps and constantly shifting displays. This is the conspiracy room, where new fake conspiracies are cooked up daily in order to draw attention away from the real ones. Let's see what this says. Let me see. Let me see. All right. You blow the whistle, but any response you might hear is drowned out with nearby fans. From the ducks to the left, huh? Ducks behind. Ducks to the left. Head. To the left. Ducks ahead. Ducks ahead. Ducks ahead. Ahead. Ducks to the left. Turn this off. To the right. Ducks ahead. Ahead. Hot dog, that's Ralph Van Wow down there, and he seems to be in one piece. By the look and smell of the dingy, dirty little cell they've got him in, they've been grilling him for hours in both senses of the word. Ralph is panting and his fur is matted. You think you see him flick his eyes up towards you. Sitting across from him, a tired-looking sergeant in shirt sleeves, is a tired-looking sergeant in shirt sleeves. He speaks to Ralph in quietly threatening tones, but it also rises shrilly from time to time, as if the sergeant's patience is about to end. On the other side of the partition, a researcher and a military person watch, trying to tune out the abusive bluster of Ralph's interrogator. You're able to catch a few snatches of the other conversation. They're discussing the course of exploratory procedures that will help them to determine how Ralph is able to speak. They both seem impatient to move ahead beyond the interrogation phase, as the scientist points out anything Ralph tells them is completely suspect anyway. And you could swear you hear one of them say, both of here, and then you could swear one of them says both of them. Hey, have a good one, Havoc. Thank you very much for stopping by. Roll up your shirt sleeves. I don't know how long it's been since I've worn a shirt long enough to have sleeves that I could roll up. Sergeant sitting across from Ralph wipes his forehead on the drenched sleeve of his shirt, curses, and resumes the interrogation. Alright, so... Dude with a gun. This is a grill that I probably don't want to just open. The bare bulb throws harsh yellow light into the room. They didn't even spring for soft whites. Does their depravity know no bounds? The sergeant asked Ralph if Malion was German. A brisk breeze is helping to draw away the thick, unpleasant air from the stuffy little room. Hey, the File Smoke, welcome in, unless you came in earlier with the raid when my stuff wasn't working, to give you a shout out. But either way, welcome in. So I wonder if I'm supposed to do something to make it so that the room gets stuffier and stuffier until they decide to leave. What happens if I blow the whistle here? You toot softly on the whistle and Ralph's ears twitch. He looks one way and the other, and you think sneaks a quick glance direct at you.
What? Because he chose a German Shepherd? Dumpkopf.
Do I need to just wait and listen? Time passes. The sergeant asks if Ralph Malion performed the surgery on any other animals.
He didn't perform the surgery. He had another student perform the surgery. I told you that.
Time passes. The sergeant says, and the student was, a brisk breeze is helping to draw. Yeah, so I think it's telling me.
I don't know. A defrocked veterinary student. I've told you that too.
Telling me that I need to turn off the fans. I see. Took on one of the wires and it pops off. It's turnable. The fan shuts off. Well, that's the first time that I've gotten something from turning them off. Fan is set into the warren of ducts to help recirculate the air from one part of the facility to another. This is the exception to the rule that paint shirt right. You hear a lot of movement in Ralph's cells and crawl back to the vent. The air in the cell has become practically unbreathable. The scientist and her companion stand, their clothing sticking to the backs of the chairs, and file out of the room. A moment later, they knock on the door. The impatient officer yells at Ralph to stay, and he walks out and closes the door behind him. Carefully dislodge the grill and pull it into the duct. Ralph looks up at you, and you think
I knew
smiles.
it wasn't Joe.
What? You could tell by the way I whistle?
They're distinctive. You'd be surprised.
Maybe not. It's an instrument. Kinda.
Calm down, but be quiet.
Are they right outside?
I don't think so. But people keep walking by, and thank you for coming.
Joe's outside.
I know.
But I want to come down. You set the grappling hook on the lip of the vent and then lean on it with as much body weight as possible to help sink the hooks into the thin metal ducts. You reach down, hold the rope to test it. The hook stays put. Ralph paces nervously as you ease yourself out of the vent and slowly lower yourself on the rope until your feet touch the floor. You turn around and whip the rope until the hook dislodges. Why did I dislodge it? You deftly catch it and wrap it around your arm and turn to Ralph.
This is very impressive, Jake. You know, I heard somebody here say that the CIA is looking for a few good assassins.
In high school, I was voted least likely to be an action hero. So have you noticed any prospective exits?
I'm game for the ducts.
Well, there's a problem with that. It lets out above the main door, and that's a long way to the ground. How are you with suction cups?
I had one a long time ago. It passed right through my system.
Okay, we'll find another way.
You skim the report. It details ongoing experiments involving a dog, almost certainly Tina, and outlines several proposed procedures. Some of the diagrams and drawings are greatly disturbing. You close the report and toss it back on the table, feigning indifference so that Ralph will be less likely to want to take a look on his own. Sergeant's crisp, spotless cap is on the desk. This is a vintage, smooth corroded word processing typewriter. You've never learned how to type. When you were in school, only girls were allowed to take the typing class. You took shop instead, and to your credit, you still have the napkin holder you made as a final project. In fact, it's hard to imagine where you would keep your napkins without it. I don't think so, Dragon Gem, because I think there's quite a bit more after this. Because there's Populus's stuff, whatever that may be. I don't know how long that's going to be. Take the crumpled piece of paper, open it. It contains an unfinished draft of something that reads like a release form.
They wanted me to sign a release giving them ownership of me. Then I pointed out to them that if they had me sign it, it would be an acknowledgement of my ability to think and reason for myself.
And thus they couldn't own you.
Right.
So what happened?
I think they've decided they don't need my permission.
Restrain those Felix Ungeresque impulses. You consider taking the ashtray as a souvenir, hoping it says something like Mount Weather on it, but as you pick it up and move the butts around, you see it actually reads Grossinger. That being the name of one of the major Catskills resorts. You decide this ashtray was stolen to begin with. Door is locked. Does that say H? I see. Cup your hands to the mirror to see through the semi-reflective surface. You can make out the empty chairs on the other side, but it's very dark back there. Light's too strong here. You'll screw up your odds and cones. You turn off the light.
Why
Yeah, I
didn't
know
I
it's
bring
the
my
only...
wintergreen lifesavers?
I was just asking myself the same question.
Bruh, I've got goggles. You have no use for the light bulb. Actually, you have less than no use for it. You actively despise it. Coat hooks. Why can't I unscrew the coat hooks, huh? Do. I mean, I can't put the suction cups on the mirror. Why not? Can I break the mirror? And getting caught in a facility that I'm not supposed to be in wouldn't be 7 years hard labor? The outline I could use. Yes, the dog does talk. Looking at Ralph's reflection brings a question to mind.
How come dogs go crazy when they see themselves in a mirror or trash can or something?
They wouldn't if their masters would brush their fur once in a while.
These clothes and that haircut, you feel like a stranger in a strange land. Oh, a Heinlein reference. Papers.
Boy, am I glad to see you.
What did you do, Ralph?
I guess I shouldn't have gone on Nightline.
I told you not to go on Nightline. I told you people would see you.
So you told me, I admit it. I should have gone on the new Bill Cosby show instead.
Woof. I can pet Ralph? You stroke the top of Ralph's head. He looks up at you and smiles, or so you'd like to believe. Yeah, and when they were asking him about the person who did the surgery on him to make him be able to talk, they were asking him if he was German, and he's like, I don't know, he chose a German Shepherd. Bathroom tile has been proven to have a psychologically calming effect on soldiers and prisoners. A few magazines help even more. I mean, I guess I could just try the door, but I don't. The handle swings down effortlessly, but the door is still locked. Okay. You pull on the handle as hard as you can to the point where you're afraid you'll break it completely.
Helping.
It's not doing much for the door, but it is alleviating some of that tension I got from crawling around in those ducts.
That's good. You're very aware of your body.
Well, right now I am, what with you talking about my body and all.
Oh, although it is that time of night, so